Hi Cameron.
Hello, Kellen.
I'm interviewing you about um, your experience in music, your journey,
Mm,
your involvement in the FMP. So,
go ahead.
first question is, what started your interest in music?
I don't remember a time where I haven't been interested in music. Like, it's every point in my life, music has played a massive part. And the, the only thing that I know that started it is uh, something that I had to be told of something that I don't even remember. So my dad had this big CD tower, like a proper CD collection, and he was cautious on letting me near it because I was a very like cat-handed like 3 or 4 year old or 2 year old possibly, and he knew I'd scratch it all up, but he just let me play them whenever I want. I pretty much got through the whole thing probably, and it was a whole range of music, and that whole combination of everything that was there, uh, pop and jazz, vocal jazz standards and classical. That did a number on my head.
Mm.
That kind of molded my brain for thinking musically, I guess. But I don't remember that happening because I was too young to remember, so I just had to be told.
Yeah.
But I do believe that is a thing that happened.
So, what styles interest you?
I think I've uh, tried to play or perform in every major style. Like I've never limited myself or backed off from everything. All the major styles and all the at least in Western music, all of the um, traditions, uh, electronic, pop, jazz, metal, classical. I've tried to play in that style. I've written in that style. Or I've performed in that style. And all of the playing that I do now, like if I were to pick up the guitar and just play, it would be a combination of all those styles. It would be like sometimes it's just like how I hold the guitar or how my fingers are moving, or my choice of scales, or um, just how I'm holding the pick and everything. I, it's I try to do everything, but I do when I'm writing music. I do try isolate myself to a certain style. Like sometimes I just think I want to write something that's a metal track, or I just think of something up and I'll go like, oh, this is metal, or I'm in the mood for writing jazz, or I want to write an electronic song.
Mm.
So it's pretty much everything. But it's just that some styles I have less um, experience in, like country. Like I do enjoy country and folk music. It's just something that I don't have that much experience with. Like I don't know much of history or the tradition of it, but
Yeah.
it's still something that interests me greatly. And I've definitely written folk music just for myself.
Yeah.
But that's not part of the tradition. It would be to share it. But
Yeah.
it's like I've written songs, but I just never got around to finishing them, so I never shared them.
So, what are your main influences?
I think there's definitely at least a few influences from every genre. I think a nice long lasting one would be King Crimson. It's it's, it's one of the it's the main reason why I focused on the guitar as much as I did,
Mm.
and why I practiced it so much, just so I could be able to play those songs and like play all the like hand stretching polymeters and polyrhythms as well as I did. If I hadn't found that music, I probably wouldn't have been uh, gotten as good as I am now. Um, Cardiacs, of course,
Yeah.
it's very special. It's the there's a completely unique logic to chord progressions, which I've pretty much stolen, and now when I was thinking I want to write a bit more like cardiac, something like that. So suddenly I'm writing in all major chords and I'm doing these weird key changes without thinking about it. So I can't, and a lot of the time I can't really stop writing like that. So I think that's undeniably changed how I play and how I write. Those are absolutely the two main ones. So there would there's absolutely others, but like in terms of just raw impact on how I play and how I think about music, that's it.
So, would you consider your musical skills to be very versatile?
I'd say I'm good at specific things, and I like being good at specific things. And I don't try to be good at everything at once. But there's something. It's like certain things I like specializing in. Like my production skills, I'd say, are definitely competent. I'm able to like think of a sound in my head, and I have a very good idea on how to get there. Sometimes it doesn't work, but even then, if it doesn't work, I usually find something interesting or I learn something. In technical ability, I feel competent because I've just been spending so many hours trying to like fine tune all of the little like finger movements in my playing. Specifically for guitar, even though I can play other instruments, guitar is the main one. Songwriting, I don't feel too competent when it comes to songwriting, but it's just something that I want to do. I want to do more just so I can get better at it, and I don't feel a rush to put out music now. I haven't gotten that much time on stage, so I don't know if I could say I'm that competent as a performer. But I've always, when I have been on stage, it's always been someone on the side, and I guess I do prefer that, at least for now. Like the most times I've been on stage, it's been playing bass or drumming, and usually like if I'm playing bass, I'm standing quite still with the bass hiked up, and I'm just doing this, and I'm with a blank expression on my face. Or if any most of the videos that I've seen of myself performing and I'm on drums, I can't even see myself. And it's just like, well, on stage, I do prefer being supportive, but I'd absolutely like to have the confidence to go on stage and be front and center and just say, "This is what I'm doing. These are songs that I've written, or this is something that I'm expressing." But it's just in that realm, I know nothing. But I guess I'd say I am reasonably versatile in what I can do.
Yeah.
And I think that definitely the versatility is usually in the different styles of music that I can play anyway. Because, like I've already said, I have written or played in every major style of Western music. So in that case, I guess I am versatile.
So, what is your creative approach to songwriting and production?
It generally just depends. There are a few different ways I approach songwriting or approach production. In some cases, it is like I will just think of something because I always have. And it's like I have a jukebox in my head that I can't turn off, and sometimes it's other people's music, and a lot of the time it's just things that I'm coming up with on the fly. And sometimes I catch something and I was like, oh, I want to make that, I want to write that down, or I want to produce it. And I eventually try to turn that into a whole track, or just try to get it down to see if it becomes anything. Um, I'd say that's about 40% of the time. A lot of the other, say the other 60% is I'm just sitting down with an instrument, like I have my guitar, or bass guitar, or a keyboard or drums, and I'm just noodling. I'm just doing whatever comes to mind, and then I do something, like my hands just do something fortunate, or I improvise something in the moment, and I catch it out as I'm playing. It's like, that's interesting. So I write it down or I record it, and eventually I try. If it intrigues me enough, I turn it into a full thing. I try to expand on it as much as I can, or I try to turn it from like one instrument into a full band arrangement, if it means anything to me, because I have enough experience in the instruments that I hear in the arrangements in my head that I can just kind of, like, if I have my DAW, I hear something in my head, I can just kind of do it. So like, I can go from one, like, playing one instrument and thinking, oh, that sounds quite nice, to having a full band arrangement on a DAW all written down quite quickly. So
so you get it out of your head quite easily.
It's just getting it out of my head. Starting songs, it almost feels like random chance, because it feels like sometimes I just kind of stumble into new ideas, and then after stumbling, you actually have to work your way through, and you have to think about, okay, what makes this good, and how can I explore what this idea can do, and can I combine it with multiple ideas? A lot of the time, I have multiple ideas, and then I like multiple ideas that are completely separate from each other, and I realise, oh, they're in the same time signature or the same key, and I just put them in one song, and they flow very nicely together. Sometimes it does genuinely feel like random chance sometimes, but it's always interesting. It's always interesting. I'm always learning. I never, because a lot of it is just chance. Even if I write something down or I arrange it, sometimes it's just sometimes I just have to confront, this isn't good, or I don't want to go further with this, but I never dismiss it, because I know I've definitely learned something, and the more I know, the more music I make, at least in this, how much music I have made, the more music I make, the better I'll get, the faster I'll be able to get things down. The more I'll be aware of all the details that I had.
So how do you think the songwriting and the production process is very tied together for you then?
Oh, absolutely. I have tried to separate it. I've been trying to relearn notation, so I can trim my ideas down to the fundamentals, and then afterwards I'm able to think about all the production. So I want to start thinking, what actually is the main part of this idea. Like, stop thinking about what kind of sound the guitar is going to make, what drum beat is going to have, what the effects are going to be on the synths or the guitars, whatever. Just like, what is the good bit of the song? What interests me? But pretty much since I've started making music, songwriting and production have been completely intertwined. The production, it has been the songwriting, and only recently has that been separated.
So, what benefit do you feel that has, a separation between the two? Or even, what benefit would it have if they were both very tied?
Well, if I usually find that they're quite tired, because there's a certain sound a very specific sound that I want to get. Like it's not just the notes that I'm playing; it's the whole list of effects and EQ or what pickup I'm using or whatever. It's that sound. A lot of time, the sound and the the timer and the notes are one thing. Like it's not just like note data, or it's the fact that it's being played on a guitar, so it's being played like this at this tempo. Um, with these instruments backing it, it's like it's all one thing, and that's how it usually comes up in my head. Like if a lot of the times when I think of like when I just come up with ideas in my head, like on the fly, I usually hear the whole arrangement at once. Like, especially if it's something minimal, like something that's or like a rock or a metal track where there's only a few instruments that it could be. It's like I just think the drums have to be this, and the bass has to be this, and the guitar has to be this, and the vocals have to be something like this. But when you separate them, it gives you so much more room to experiment because you can always go back to that core idea. Like you don't feel like you're straying from anything by experimenting, and that's why. And when it comes to things being in production, I get very resistant to changing things that are already there. Like, especially because because I think of the sound that I want so quickly. It's like, why would you change it? Because I wrote it with that sound in mind. Like, why would I change this? But I'm having to strip that back and go, no, this is just about the musical data, and I have to figure out what is the right sound and what's the right arrangement to get this across and have the right emotional impact and the right physical impact of that musical data. And that's why engineering and production is the thing that attracted me to the music industry. It's being able to experiment, knowing all there being such a technical side to creativity.
What advice would you give to a songwriter or producer?
Just be patient with yourself, and I mean that in a lot of different ways. But the main way is don't like feel rushed to put out something just because you want to put out something. Like any musician just wants to put out music because that's what they feel like they need to do. Especially if you're a musician that's beginning, you've grown up with albums and performances and singles and everything like that, and you just want to have your own thing. But you a lot of the time you don't exactly know what came before that, and it's usually a lot of practice in what those artists and musicians did to get to even start. Like if you're a songwriter, just write songs until you figure out something that works. Like if you're a beginning, if you're an amateur songwriter, just keep going it until you're consistent in like you're very consistent in writing something that means something to you. Like even if it's just like one out of every 100 songs is worth it, then you know like, oh, I am making progress. Like it's like I know that like there's a level of trial and error, but I know eventually it will get better, and that the more if you're able to analyze yourself and analyze your own work, and the more you do that, your odds of coming across better music better work will improve.
Yeah.
Like for example, Cardiacs, they started in 1977 and didn't release their first debut album until 11 years later, and they'd spent all that time like making demos and performing, touring and supporting, being the support act for other bands and just trying to get enough funding for an album. But they spent all that time figuring out what worked for them. And so by the time that they've released their first album, they did already have a following. Like they pretty much practiced at being a band.
Yeah.
But they were still very front facing. But it's still, their first album was 11 years after they'd formed, and they knew, and by that time they'd figured out what they'd wanted. And I think but that is a very, that's a strong level of patience that most people won't be willing to do, or maybe they don't need.
Yeah.
I think I've always wanted to like release music as quickly as possible, and there's only one release that is actually attributed to me at all, which is the Smorgasbord EP. I have a co-production credit on that, and that's the first and only thing which has my name attached to it, or my pseudonym. But I'm not too concerned with putting things out now. It's just I just realise I have to be patient. I have to get better at the things I want to be good at in production and with songwriting. It's the same thing. If you want to, any artistic skill or technical skill requires patience and discipline.
Yeah.
That's why I got good at anything, because I allowed myself to be patient with it because I cared about it so much. And if you do care about it that much, you should allow yourself to be patient.
So, what do you think you learnt from contributing to the Smorgasbord EP?
I think if you're working with someone else, like if you're working with someone that has an equal or greater impact on something that you're working on, you have to. You need to be able to explain everything that you do, even if you like I had more of an impact on mixing than you during it, but I had to explain everything to you. I had to be.
Or particularly the second track?
Yeah, the second track, which started off to me near unlistenable, but when I got patient with it and I went through everything, I tried to turn it into something that I found that became intriguing. I knew that there was something intriguing in there, but I had to explain everything in there, like why I'm making all of these decisions. And if someone else can't see why you're doing something, that you're just going to become very difficult to work with. Like if you're just kind of bossing people around, it doesn't matter if you're right or wrong. You're just difficult.
If you're doing that,
yeah. So it's pretty much just be a team player.
Yeah.
Just be nice. That's pretty much it on that.
If anything, what would you like to have done differently?
I would have, after the EP came out, Callum, you listened to it again and saw a bunch of errors in there. There was things that were out of time. There were mixes that weren't right, and those were things that I noticed as well. But because I was so tired by the time that when we were in the studio, I just wanted to get it over with, and I would just send it off already. but I shouldn't have done that at all. I should have really, I should have been much more detail oriented, like I usually am, and not have just been like lacking in it. Like I shouldn't have been slacking off. I should have really been just like focused on fixing all of the little things that would annoy me. But it's because I was so tired at a certain point, and I just wanted to finish. I wanted to get it over with so bad. I just sent. I heard a bunch of things that were wrong with it, but because it wasn't being spoken about, I was just like, just finish it, just mix and master it. But that definitely, but I think that actually cost us more time. We had to remix and remaster the whole thing again.
Yeah, that took a lot, and also we had to re-upload them.
Yeah, we had to completely re-upload everything as well. I think we had to change the credits as well because I think
there was more involvement from mixing on certain songs for me.
You got a mixing credit on at least one of the songs because was it the first one?
I think it was the first and the last.
Yeah,
because I was quite prominent on particularly release.
Yeah,
with the mix. So we were struggling with that.
Yeah. But I think that the sending that off so quickly is probably a tribute to a certain level of arrogance or just disbelief in the project, I guess, which I don't have anymore. It's like I can't go back. It's the first thing that I've worked on that's actually out there proper, and I can't take it back. And I'm proud of everyone that has worked on it. Well, me and the 3 other people, especially you.
Oh yeah, it was very fun. Even if there was definitely difficult aspects to it. I suppose it was mostly the production.
Yeah.
But is that the only thing you would have done differently?
Honestly, yeah. I think if I'd remembered specific things, there's definitely things that I'm forgetting, or it's just things that I just passed in and out of my head. But that's the main thing because it cost us time, and it led to more stress.
Yeah.
But weirdly enough, it did lead to a better release in the end. Like the finished version is better than the original version, and I think the mixes are definitely high quality now. And maybe I think if we'd fixed all of the timing issues, in the original version, we wouldn't have gotten as good as mix as we did in the final version. Good as mix,
because we had more scrutiny.
Yeah, so much more scrutiny, and we did silently fix all of the issues. We re-uploaded it and we didn't like say this is version 2. This is just the EP.
Yeah.
So that's the only. Even then, I'm not sure I regret it. It's all learning experience, especially because it's the first thing that for any of us. Like it's your first credit. It's my first credit. It is going to be a learning experience no matter what.
Yeah.
And everything is going to be. Everything that we've learned is going to be carried on to the second thing, which is our second EP. So I'm happy.
Anything else?
No, I've nothing else to say.
Thank you.
No problem.